Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Coming back at you with another video. Hoping that you are continuing to practice social distancing, washing your hands for 20 seconds, and wearing your mask. Unfortunately, we're still in the middle of this horrible pandemic. It's like a nightmare that just won't go away. Hopefully, next year around this time, we won't have to be dealing with this, that it'll be a thing of the past. So let's continue to stay prayed up and hope this thing will come to an end pretty soon. Hoping everybody is having a blessed Thursday, February 11th, 2021. Hoping everybody is having a blessed Thursday. Um, I want to talk about being a working mother, working single mom. The challenges of being a working single mom. Um, I know it's been a while since I've been on here. I've been going through some things. Been going through some things, not just physically but emotionally, and I don't know. I've been in a funk, been kind of depressed, and as I've always, if you guys watch me on a regular basis, as I've told you before in the past that wintertime is a really hard time for me. I tend to be more depressed in the wintertime. Plus, with the situation with my body, not being able to really work right now. Um, I'm dealing with some things right now, and on top of that, frustrated with YouTube. This channel is not growing the way I like it to grow, and just really frustrated about that. And it's I don't know. So it's a number of things. It's a combination of things of why I haven't been on posting as much. So just bear with me. I do have some topics that I wrote down. I've got quite a few topics, so um, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. Just going through some stuff and just keep me prayed up. But anyway, with that being said, I wanted to talk about single motherhood. All right, I want to talk about single motherhood. Um, since my son, the challenges of being a working mom, being a working single mom. Um, I know there's a lot of reactors on here. I'm not I'm not doing any more videos addressing the reactors, and I'm not doing any more videos addressing the moms. So this is not really about that, but um, notice that a lot of them are talking about the mommies on here, particularly the three mommies, and they always talk about how they need to get off of YouTube and go back into the workforce. Particularly Jazz, which I'm not going to even go into that situation. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm staying out of that. I'm not even going to go into all that. I'm going to go ahead and stay out of that. um, but I hear a lot of people saying that they need to get off of YouTube and go get a job and work outside the home. And what I was thinking about that statement, and I said, what people don't realize is that this is what people don't realize. People don't realize that when you're a single mother and you're working outside the home, that has its own set of unique challenges. It has a whole nother set of unique challenges. I know because I've done it for many years. I'm fully qualified to speak on single motherhood because I did it for almost 30 years. And I worked outside the home. I was a single mother, taking care of my two sons and working outside the home, and I did it for many, 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 many years. I did it for many years. So I know the challenges that you have to face as a single mom working outside the home. And it's quite a few, and it's a lot. It's I don't think people. I mean, a lot of these people on YouTube, they're mothers themselves. A lot of them are single mothers themselves. Not all of them, but a lot of them are single mothers themselves. And so they have to have some kind of idea as to how challenging it is to work outside the home and take care of children. It's very challenging. That has its own set of unique challenges. And I know when I was a single mother and I was working outside the home, I, you know, when I had my youngest son, when I had my oldest, I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home for mom for a while after I had my oldest. But I went back to work when he was one and I went back to school um, for a short period of time. But then I took off work again. I took off work again because it just, it wasn't. They wasn't really giving me a lot of hours and didn't make any sense at the time. So I took off work again, and that was when the system was set up different. The system was set up different back in the late 80s and early 90s. That was before welfare reform. You could stay home and could get your little check. And I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I got my little check, and they got my rent paid. And at the time my rent wasn't that much, and got my little food stamps and Medicaid. And they gave, then they give you uh, some money. They give you a little money for, to buy necessities and things like that. So I was able to, because of that, I was able to stay home, and I didn't have childcare at the time. Um, and like when you have your first child, you're so protective, and it's like you don't want. Everybody in my family was working at the time, and so I mean, I wouldn't have trusted anybody other than my family to watch my son. I was a first time mom, and I was like, the thought of putting him in the daycare just terrified me, and understandably so. I worked in a daycare, so I definitely understand why I had that fear, if you know what I mean. A lot of things go on in daycares. That was out of the question, and just the thought of having a total strangers take care of my child, I just couldn't conceive of it. When you're a first mom, you're really, really protective, very protective. And you don't want just anybody taking care of your child. So my job, they offered me my job back to come back to work, but at that particular time, I told them I'm not going to come back because, I didn't have uh, any child care. And I just didn't want to put my son in the hands of a stranger. So I decided to just go ahead and stay home with him. So, like I said, at that time, the system was set up where you could. Nowadays, they're making these moms get out and work. They don't have that opportunity to stay home with their children unless they have a job working from home. But at that particular time, it was before welfare reform, and the system was set up a lot different. Um, and so I was able to stay home with my son, my oldest son, for a while during his first year. I think that's a very important stage, because, that's your bonding time that you have with your child. So I was able to stay home with him. Then I went back to work when he turned one and went back to school for about a year. And then I took off again, and I think I stayed home with him until he, I kind of worked off and on, but then, I babysitted, I did little side jobs and stuff and babysitted and stuff like that. Um, and I think I was able to stay home with him until he was about five, going on 6. I started back to work when he was about 6 years old. So, and I had been working ever since. Now, by the time my youngest son came around, by the time he was born in 2000, I had way more responsibilities. I was not in a position to where I could stay home. I had a better paying job. I had way more responsibilities, and I was not in a position to where I could stay home. Unfortunately, situation was different, and so I was not even able. I had to go back to work when he was 6 weeks old, and believe it or not, I still regret that. He'll be 21 this year, and I still regret that. I really hate the fact that I didn't get the opportunity to spend more time because my oldest son, I was able to be with him, when he was an infant, and be there when he started walking, and be there through all those important first stages, because I was there. My youngest son, I didn't have that opportunity to really, be there like that. At that particular time, I had a daycare lady that I could really trust. That she was already watching my oldest, so she was somebody I knew I could really trust. I didn't have a problem. My sister kept them for me for a while, and um, then I took them to my daycare lady, and I knew that she was somebody that I could trust. I had no problem, leaving him with her. But I hated the fact that I had to go back to work when he was so young. I didn't get the chance to really, really get that bonding time in and stuff like that. That's a precious time. When your children are under the age of 5, it's a very, very important time. And I think that mothers, um, in my opinion, should be home. If you are able to be home with your children when they're under the age of 5, then that you're able to work from home, or you got a husband and he's making enough money to where he can hold y'all down. I think everything just runs so smoothly, more smoothly, when the mother is able to stay home with the children, particularly if it's a married couple. I mean, those children are gonna come out. They're gonna turn out so much better. Um, but when a mother has to, I was able to be on both sides of the fence, and I was able to do both. And I know when I was able to stay home with my oldest son, I was able to be there for him when he was doing all those first milestones and things like that. I was able to potty train him. I didn't have to rely on somebody else to do that. And it's just so many things. It's the developmental phase. You can work with them with their colors and things like that. You can sit down and work with them with different things, and just be there for them. And I think that it's really, really great that these YouTube moms have the opportunity to stay home with their children, that they're able to literally work from home. They blog their families, they're able to work from home and make money on YouTube, and be able to stay home with their children. And so I don't understand why. Being on YouTube is, it's a lot of, it's stressful. You do get a lot of haters and things like that. But that's the drawbacks. But when a mom is working outside the home, and I know a lot of these reactors, a lot of them are single mothers, they understand. When you are working, when I was working outside the home, particularly by the time my youngest son came around and I had two children, it was very, very challenging. It was very stressful because when you working, people say when you're a stay-at-home mom or housewife, it's not a job. It is a job. That it is a job. It's a job. Because you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing laundry, you're caring for the children. Um, it's a job. I don't care what nobody say. It's a job. You're running the errands, you're doing the shopping, and all that kind of stuff. You're not just sitting around on your butt, particularly when you got little ones. And if they're school age, you're dropping them at school, you're running them to school, you're picking them up. If they got activities, you're taking them to the activities. It's a lot of work. When you are a working mom and you work outside the home, you you have that element, especially particularly if you're working full time. You're working full time, you know, and just dealing with the things that you have to deal with just working on the job. You know, there's certain times there's stressors on the job, there's stressors and there's different things that you got to deal with on the job, and just this working itself can be challenging. It's like different things that you have to go through. Particularly, I mean, it depends on what kind of job you're doing. There's certain stresses and things that you have to deal with on the job, and then you have to come home to, you're physically exerting yourself on your job and dealing with certain stresses and things like situations on your job, and then you come home, you have to care of your children. You have to still cook, you have to still clean, you have to still do laundry, run errands, pay bills, and do all that, and it is a lot. And I remember there were times when I was working outside the home, and I would go through certain things on the job. you know I was going through experiencing certain stressful situations on the job, and a lot of times I would come home and I would take it out on my sons. I didn't mean to take it out on them, but I did. 'Cause especially if you going through something with, you experiencing things, going through things, with your coworkers or your boss or whatever the situation is, and you come home, sometimes you do take it. I did. I took it out on my kids. I know my youngest son one time, he called me out on it one time. My youngest son called me out on it. He said, "Now, Mom, it's not my fault that you going through something on the job. You don't have to come home and take it out on me." I had to apologize. I said, "I'm sorry, baby." He called me out on it. That baby called me out on it. And I was like, "I'm sorry, baby." All I could say, I wouldn't nothing I could say. All I could say was, "I'm sorry." You know, you don't have to come home and be yelling at me. And that's the thing, you don't mean to take it out on the children, but you do. You do. That stress that you're going through on the job translates to the home. Whether you want people say you gotta learn to separate the two, where it's easier said than done. Because that you're physically tired and sometimes you're mentally tired, depending on what you're going through. And we all know that being a black person on the job is not easy. It's rough. And there's different levels to racism. I know they talk about micro trans they call that microaggressions. That's a whole nother video topic. But they talk about microaggressions. A lot of times black people have to go through these microaggressions, you know, and there's different levels of racism, different levels, Sometimes it's real subtle. That micro stuff, that's a whole different video topic. And so you're going through different things, depending on the type of job that you're doing. If you're not just sitting behind a desk and your job is physically demanding, then you got to go through all that. So you coming home, you're physically tired. Sometimes you're mentally tired. Sometimes you pissed off. It depends on what you went through, you know. Then you have to come home and care for the children, you know, try to keep the house clean and do laundry and cook and all that, drop children off at school, pick children up, and all this kind of situation. Plus, try to take care of yourself. I know at one time I was working, I was going to school, taking care of my two sons, and my two sons were 10 years apart. So when my youngest son was a toddler, my oldest son was a teenager. So I was going through the terrible twos and the terrible teens at the same time. you know. So because by the time my youngest son was 4 years old, my oldest son was 14 because they're 10 years apart. So I had to deal with, you certain set of challenges that you have to deal with a teenager, dealing with a teenager, and then I had to deal with the challenges of having a toddler. Try dealing with that at the same time. So I'm working. I started back to school when my youngest son was 2. So, just going part time, taking 2 classes. But when you combine that with working full time, going to school, plus coming home, caring for, dropping children off at the daycare, school, cleaning, cooking, cleaning, trying to keep the house up, running errands, paying bills. And then on top of that, when I started in, when I first started studying to be a Jehovah's Witness, I was studying plus being an unbaptized publisher, plus going to meetings, and I added that on top of going to school and working. So that was another thing that I added to the load, you know. So I had a lot of balls in the air when I was a single mother, working mom. I had a lot of balls in the air, and you talking about tired, and it had a lot of challenges. But when you are a stay-at-home mom, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about dealing with those challenges of going into the workforce. You're able to stay home. You're able to cut that load in half, and you're able to stay home with your children and focus on your children, and take care of the things that you need to take care of around the house. And my thought is, if you're having issues with doing that without working outside the home, if a person is having issues with maintaining their household and their children while being a stay-at-home working mom at home, well, their situation is that they're still working, but they're just at home. If they're having challenges with doing that now, just think how hard it would be if they got a job outside the home and was working outside the home. It would present a whole nother set of challenges. So I don't know why people think that the solution is for them to go work outside the home. That's not necessarily the solution, because to be perfectly honest, that can make things worse. The situation could get worse because it's going to be more of a challenge. It's going to be more of a challenge for them to work outside the home and come home and take care of the children in the house. It's like working two jobs. You're working outside the home, then you got to come home and care for the children, try to keep the house clean, do the laundry, cook, run errands, grocery shopping. That's a whole nother job. It's literally a whole nother job. So people thinking that I marinated on that. When people kept saying that, this marinated on that, I said, that's not necessary. And I thought about the challenges that I had that I experienced when I was a single mom, working mom, and it was rough. It was rough. Coming home trying to keep the house clean. I fell short in that area a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I fell short in that area a lot because it's a lot. You got a lot of balls in there. Plus, on top of that, you gotta try to take care of yourself. I'm trying to get to the gym, trying to exercise, trying to stay in shape. Yeah. Plus, throw that in there. I was going to the gym too. I forgot to throw that in there. I was going to the gym, exercising. Um, and so, on top of that, you're trying to take care of yourself too. You got to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of nobody else. You can't take care of your kids if you not good, your kids ain't gonna be good. You know what I mean? So you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta take time to take care of you. So it's a lot. And it's gonna present more challenges if these moms, YouTube moms, work outside the home. It is going to present a whole nother set of challenges. If a mother, that is the best possible situation for a mother to be in, particularly when she has children under the age of 5, is to be a stay-at-home mom. If the mother is able to work from home, that is the most favorable situation that she can, because she's right there. She don't have to worry about putting her children in the care of perfect strangers. And people were saying, well, she need to put them in daycare. Well, she better investigate. You know, she better do her homework, and because some of these daycare workers, mm, depending on what daycare it is, some of them have a really high turnover rate, and they get a lot of different caregivers. Y'all know I've already talked about that. I've done videos talking about that. Daycare is not what you think it is. It's a lot of things that go on in daycares. A lot of daycares have high turnover rates because they don't pay their, it's a low paying field. So people don't stay in that field. So a lot of them have a high turnover rate. Sometimes people get in there, they really don't, they say they like children, but they really don't like children. At least by the time they get in there, they don't like them because, there's sometimes there's abuse that takes place in daycares. So that's a whole nother set of challenges that you got to deal with when you got your kids in daycare. I had my children in a home daycare with somebody that I knew I could trust. That's a lot different than putting them in an actual daycare center. I wouldn't recommend, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't recommend. I worked in the daycare for almost 5 years. I know what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I think that, I just don't think that that's you know, um, to me, in my opinion, I say, hey, what they're doing is, being on YouTube and they're able to earn money staying at home with their children. That is the best possible situation that they can be in my opinion. Because if they work outside the home, it's going to have a whole nother set of challenges, you know. But anyway, sound off in the comments section. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know in the comment section. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really, really, really would like to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Even if you're, like I say, you're new to my channel and you know, if you're not gonna watch my content on a regular basis, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help a sister out. And hit the notification bell. So every time I do a video, you'll be notified. If you're already subscribed, double check and make sure you're still subscribed because I hear YouTube likes to bump people off. So just let me know, sound off in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Are you a single mother? Do you work outside the home? What are some of the challenges that you have to face being a working mom? Because even if you're a married working mom, you got your kids, you got your husband. That's even more challenging. So at any rate, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Until the next video, peace and love. This is Sweet Gina.